We say all praises be to the Creator, all power to His people. In the name of Yahshua, the Black Revolutionary Messiah, I greet you, my brothers and sisters, in the spirit of truth and the words of peace. Shalom Aleichem. I want to welcome everybody to the show tonight, the Main Source Network, where you will know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. We have a very special show tonight. We have the Black Dot on the show, who is a well-known researcher, a well-known activist, a well-known author of the classic book, Hip Hop Decoded, and also an old-school hip-hop artist. So we're very honored to have the Black Dot on the show, somebody I respect 100%. So we're going to jump right into the show tonight, not wasting any time. Black Dot, how you doing, my brother?
I'm doing great, comrade. It's a pleasure to be in your midst, even if it's just electronically, to talk about issues that are important to us. I respect your body of work as well, and I'm ready to roll up the sleeves and try to add some insight to what's been going on.
Yes, sir. And what we're dealing with tonight, brother, and it's a very deep topic. Do we need a drop squad in 2014, or are celebrities selling out? I'm going to say that one more time in case anybody missed it. Do we need a drop squad in 2014, or are celebrities selling out? And the reason why I wanted to do this show, and especially want to have Dot on, is because it seems that, especially over the last, I would say, 3 or 4 months since you had the Eric Garner murder by the Popo in New York, and you had the murder of Michael Brown in St. Louis. You had that murder. And it seems like ever since then, celebrities have been coming out of the woodwork, basically putting their feet in their mouth. You had Raven Simone come out saying, well, she's not African-American. You had Lil Boozy come out saying African-Americans are the worst race. You had Stacey Dash, clueless Stacey Dash on Fox News saying something in regards to black people being uneducated. You had Young Thug saying, I don't care nothing about what's going on in Ferguson. And now you got Charles Barkley saying, NBA great Charles Barkley saying something to the effect that, well, it's not white folks' problems that it's not the white man is keeping us down, it's uneducated black folks. So, Dot, I just want to get your perspective, brother. Have you heard that those sayings from these celebrities or so-called celebrities, and do you think it's in any way tied into the political climate that we are currently experiencing in this country?
It's absolutely connected. And the only one I didn't hear in terms of celebrity was I didn't hear Charles Barkley's statement, but I'm not surprised. He's married to a white woman. And he grew up in Alabama where he should understand the racial tension, but because he walked out of there, I guess, with a white woman, he felt that everything is all good, and he should know better. So his perspective is tainted because his ability to reconnect with his true spiritual self has always been compromised because he's laying down with a white woman. Now, with that being said, I'm going to start out by saying from the very key, yes, we do need a drop squad in 2014. But there are levels to this drop squad stuff, and I'm going to try to break it down, so to speak. We need a general public drop squad. And what I mean by that is we're not responsible, the so-called leaders are not going to be responsible for when that drop squad is now at a club in masses, and they've taken on the cause to say the next artist that gets up on this stage that disrespects black people or disrespects our women, we just going to rush the stage and handle our business. That's one level of the drop squad in which it's moved by the spirit of the people. And it only takes one show for, the spirit of the people to get tired of the same monotonous degradation of our people, to rush that stage and put that work in. And the way we think, like the 100 monkey theory, we all catch on, and that's a disassociation from the body of a drop squad, so to speak. Then we need, in my humble opinion, an extortion division of a drop squad who move a little bit more down low, but they go and start taxing these artists, you know what I'm saying, for things that we need in our community. And I'm not talking about having them come out with some corporate sponsored nonsense just for publicity, but the same way them gangbangers, they have that no-fly zone, and all the gangbangers politely say is, you're going to spend some money when you come through our town. We need to have that level of a drop squad that says, yes, when you come through here, we're going to have our hand out too, but because we need to build community centers, we need bookstores, and we need other things that also need to be done. And then, of course, there'll be a brain trust or an anonymous faction of the drop squad, which stuff like this won't be discussed in intricate detail on these open airways, because we know that the enemy is always on his due diligent job trying to keep abreast of what we're talking about. So I hope everybody got my drift by what I just laid out as a working formula, and this is just really off the top of the cranium, a working formula of a way a drop squad can be implemented on multiple levels so that there's really no true head. You know what I mean? Only the people will determine when you come to their town what they're going to tolerate and what they're not going to tolerate. Now, in terms of the celebrities not wanting to associate with African American, we understand that when you are associated with something African American in this day and time and in this climate, it represents the lowest of the low, at least theoretically speaking. We know who we are as a collective and how far our true lineage as a people go, and we only use the name African American lightly because we understand where we originated from and we understand where we are now. And I only throw that out there for my Moorish brothers and sisters. I don't want to get into a technical tit for tat on the terminology that I'm using to express the body of our people and what we are going through. So Stacey Dash has probably never experienced anything but white culture. You know what I mean? So she couldn't possibly relate to what it is that we go through. Neither could Raven Simone, who, as a star child, reaped the benefits of, being a star child and things of this nature. When we say African American or so-called black, we mean that to the truest essence of the word of our struggle, of our people. We carry on our struggle. We are our struggle. Now, I'm jumping all over the place, so bear with me, brother. The Drop Squad originated way back with Nat Turner and so forth and so on. So in the body of, or the spirit of the Drop Squad, and even in the 60s when our brothers and sisters were getting water hosed and going into restaurants fighting for what they felt was going to be equality, we know better now. However, that was their version of a Drop Squad to say enough is enough. And, of course, the Black Panthers decided to move to the spot and say, when you take one of ours, we're going to take one of yours. And the climate being set by the police right now seems to be heading in that direction where enough is enough. And that term Drop Squad will have multiple meanings across multiple categories when it's all said and done.
True indeed, brother. Now, the whole in modern terms, and I guess this is for those younger listeners who may be tuning in tonight. In contemporary terms, the term Drop Squad is really taken from that Spike Lee movie that came out in 1996, where it was executive produced by Spike Lee. I think it was 1994, when he put out a couple of movies around 1994 that he had produced. And the theme of the movie was that it was a squad of people, black people, who went around in the community, and people sold us out. They would throw them in the back of a van, and then they would take them to an undisclosed location. And what they would do would be deprogram them. And DROP stood for Deprogramming Restoration of Pride. deprogramming restoration of pride. So that was the concept in modern terms. But we also have to go back to that Muhammad, but Ice Cube video featuring Dr. Khalid Muhammad, True to the Game.
Yes.
And that same video, I'm thinking that Spike Lee might have seen that video because that's the same concept. Ice Cube and the Lynch Mob were throwing cats in the trunk who sold out. They even had an MC Hammer type character.
Yeah, character. Yeah, I remember.
And they brought them to a room, tied them up, and then Dr. Khalid Muhammad, put it on them as far as verbally. So that was done. Also, another movie that Spike Lee did during that same period around 1994, Tales from the Hood. They also had a drop squad type scene where they took this young gangster off the street and they tried to deprogram him. So that theme of a drop squad has been kind of toyed with in our community. And I think one of the best examples how it was actually executed in terms of hip-hop was that classic confrontation between Boogie Down Productions and PM Dawn back in the day.
Yes.
BDP came on stage because I think one of PM Dawn, Prince B, I think he had made a statement that who are you to be a teacher, something of that nature, and made, as legend has it, well, I guess it's not really legend, but as the story goes, Chris threw them off stage. So it has been executed in various situations over the years. But let me ask you this, brother. As an activist, from an activist position, the way the industry is now, it's not really a hard thing to shut down an operation. There, like you mentioned earlier, there are various shutdown operations that can be instituted just based on countering the industry's business model. If an artist is coming to an area like a suburb, because that's basically where they go now, a suburb, and they're going into a public venue, that venue doesn't want any drama on their premises. So if they have any indication that there'll be drama, they're going to shut it down anyway for insurance purposes.
Yes.
I want to get your opinion on, I guess, if we can say that, okay, the easy part would be able to set up a no-fly zone and just shut stuff down. For every little boozy, there's going to be another young thug. For every young thug, there's going to be another whoever, whatever the flavor of the month is. On a deeper level, and I guess a stronger level, could there be instituted within the hip-hop community combined with the African community, the Moorish community, the Islamic community, could there be set up a kind of hip-hop rite of passage whereby we assume that some of these brothers just don't know? In your opinion, brother, in your studied opinion, do you think some sort of hip-hop rite of passage would be in order for some of these brothers who are 20, 21 years old, the chief keys to the world, who frankly may have never been taught the truth?
Well, you know what? I think that would be brilliant, because one thing Karis I was having a conversation with him, and he said he was going to have some meeting where he was going to meet Soulja Boy, right? And this was a few years back, maybe 3 or 4 years back. And he said, when I see this little shorty, I'm going to rip his heart out. You know what I mean? Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here, brother.
Okay, he said, I was going to rip his heart out. And then he said when he met him, he realized that he just didn't know. He was a young kid who grew up who did not know the history of hip-hop. He didn't know his history in general. So KRS-One had to take a different approach when he actually met the young dude. Because, you want to go school somebody and you realize they don't know. And you're only held accountable for what you know. So our opportunities or situations to maybe create a rites of passage, if they would be willing. See, a lot of these young artists are so money-struck because all they're after is trying to put out a hot song no matter how degrading it is so they can get their money, you know what I mean, that they bypass anything culturally connected to it. Because, see, here's the thing. You can't possibly go through a hip-hop rites of passage and still put out songs like Young Thug. It's almost impossible. You know what I'm saying? In the conscious, spirit of hip-hop and music. So when you bypass that and just trying to make a rap song with hot beats to it with lyrics that nobody can understand, it enables you to sort of get a pass because you don't know any better. You see what I'm saying? So it's like if once you start finding out that pork ain't good for you, you got to make a decision. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? When I was young and I was growing up and I didn't know no better and I was eating pork. And then when I found out, it was tough, man, but I had to make the decision because the brothers was laying out the foundation as a many rites of passage to tell me right from wrong and show me right from wrong. And once you know that, you are forced, if you are spiritually in tune or just have a conscience, to make a decision to say, you know what, I just can't do that no more. I know the way mama used to hook it up with smothered gravy and rice and this and that, and I just can't do it because I know better. And you know what I'm saying? It's the same thing when you learn about who your true and open enemy is. You are forced in some capacity to begin your struggle and fight from the day you hit, find out to the day you hit the grave that this is a lifelong fight that I must fight. Because if not, I'm not doing my people justice, and I'm not doing myself justice. So a rites of passage would be great, and I would be willing to be a part of that process so brothers and sisters can understand the magnitude of their words, the power of their thought when combined with word, sound vibration, being in tune with who you are, knowing that you're not just speaking for yourself. You are the physical representation of your ancestors who are using you as a medium to speak words into power so that we can always be in position to fight our open enemy, point blank.
Excellent points, brother. Now, let me go back to your book, Hip Hop Decoded, which was probably the premier book dealing with the whole hip-hop, Illuminati, hip-hop society, and not only that, but how hip-hop was taken from the ancient teachings of Kemet and our ancient history. A lot of the lectures you've done, brother, hip-hop, Illuminati, bloodlines, you and Professor Griff have done, you've dealt with the idea of artists selling their soul. If an artist has already sold their soul, and you can take it whatever way you want to, on a spiritual level, on an economic level, on a thugged out mafia level where they've already made an offer they couldn't resist. Is it possible, brother, that these brothers could be brought back into the fold, or they just too far gone that we just can't reach them because basically they've already sold their soul?
I would kind of say that most of them, I can't say all because to say all would be able, would kind of give up hope, but most of them are so detached once they sell their soul. You know what I mean? You can tell that they are so detached from anything collectively that we as a people are going through, and some of them seem like they want to scream out and help and say, listen, but they understand the consequences of what they've done, because when you jump in bed with the devils, man, the fear level and what they have on you and the positions that they, the uncompromising positions, which is a science for them. You got to understand, putting you in an uncompromising position, whether it's filming you, extorting you, having information on you that you do not want to find public, or pictures of your children going to school, these things wear on you, and they are scientific with it. Way back since J. Edgar Hoover days, they've been implementing these particular protocols that are industry standard now. I'm going to say that again. This stuff is industry standard when you sign that contract, and now you are owned by these particular corporations to make sure that you are never in position, and not just artists, politicians, presidents, you know, this is what they do to keep you in line. So this is why artists, that's one of the reasons artists won't speak or say anything, you know, when Mike Brown or something happens, because they are owned by corporations. And if if Pepsi is cutting you checks, and Pepsi say, you better not get out of line and get involved with that, or we're going to cut your food source off, most of these artists won't say nothing. And if it's about the industry itself, you know better. You better not tell that this contract you signed is a bogus contract and you work for us, because we will find a way through TMZ, which is some kind of government agent, you know what I'm saying, agency, to release information that no one else could possibly get their hands on and ruin the rest of your life. So bringing them back in the fold, they would have to be saying to you, I'm willing to die. There is no other gray area. It's no, I'm back in the fold, and now I'm with the so-called conscious community, and everything is fine for me. I might receive a little flack. No, they have to come back in the fold and say, I am now willing to die for the information that I am going to release to you, because I know that the only way out of this will be my death. Now, will it be my death a noble death, or will they then take and smudge your name so much before you died that now they can just write you off as somebody who was a little off base, a little out of character, started drinking and smoking and coming up with these wild accusations about what it is that we do here in Hollywood. So that person would be having to go say it's all or none. Just like when you take that oath with them, they tell you, we are now your family, it's all with us or none. You would have to do the polar opposite and say, yes, I know I'm about to die, or my little baby's about to die, but this information can be valuable in the strategic battle against what the industry has become.
But let me ask you this, brother, and this is something I've struggled to try to understand from a psychological standpoint. You have these brothers who, at least, and I won't even say on wax, so to speak, but even with their lifestyle, they seem to not fear death. You know, having beefs, pulling out guns, being shot. You know, I've been shot 50 Cent style. I've been shot 5 times, but I'm all right. So they have this mentality, this kind of post-Tupac especially mentality that only God can judge me, ain't afraid to die if heaven got a ghetto mentality. Yet and still, when it comes to going against the industry, a fear takes over. You know, a fear takes over. So what is it that a normal death, whereby I don't mind beefing or over stepping on somebody's shoes or mean mugging, I don't mind dying over that. But it seems to be even psychologically another death that only the white man can give you. The European, from a moral standpoint, the European can give you. So what is the difference between the level of fear of dying at the death of hands of another African man or original man and the idea of dying at the hands of the industry? Because to me, it seems like death would be death. There seems to be a greater fear of what the industry can do to you than that brother who's standing in front of you with a gun to your head and you brag and shoot me, ain't afraid to die. So what's the difference?
That is a superb question, and I don't have the answer to that question, but I will say this. It's the deep psychological fear of white people or the European in general. It's the fear is so instilled within these young brothers who will run up on me and you and clap us quickly because of the self-hatred that they have for who they are. Meanwhile, because, listen, I'm not inciting violence, but a lot of these things going on would be handled if brothers would channel that same energy, the same energy that they're channeling toward us, toward our open enemy. Then we would have a chance to see some real change in this country. You know what I mean? But that inner fear from the time of birth, everything structured around them says white authority or European authority that is embedded in the subconscious mind. It's like the movie Inception, where they plant the thought 2 and 3 and 4 levels below in your subconscious mind and have you fear and make you think it's your own idea to say, you know what, I'm going to turn my gun on this black man, this, ancestor who looks just like me. I'd rather do that than to turn this weapon on, an open enemy who's been oppressing my people for hundreds of years, or this particular institution that's been here. That fear, and again, you tapped on it, the psychological aspect of it is so great that I do not have a real concrete answer to that question, because I was asking myself the same thing, like, all this energy, yeah, y'all not afraid to die, and that's good, because certain one of these youngsters are ancestors who are now returning to the planet, and they are warriors by nature, but because they don't have any instruction or rites of passage of who their enemy is, they begin to stage war on themselves, and then, so the next generation, so we lose potential warriors who would be willing to go on the front line if they understood who the open enemy was and say enough is enough. But until that time, they keep us focused on material things, the distractions, and have us fighting over things that make no sense at all. So I'm with you, brother. I mean, I don't have a clear answer, but man, that is an excellent question.
Now, from an African liberation theological standpoint, I can kind of think maybe, and I would put forth this theory, that it has something to do with the white God complex, that it's only a white God that can send you to hell, because most of us come out of some kind of form of Euro-Christianity before we come into the knowledge of self or I understand it. So I'm thinking that when they see a black man with a gun, there's one, it's like death, no more pain, whatever, I'm gone, I'm at peace. But it's only that white God, which can only come at the hands of a white man, that can actually send you into that proverbial hell. So that's the only thing I can see whereby a black man really can't kill you. Only a black man might can take your life, but it's only a white man made in the image of a white God could actually send your soul into eternal torment. So that's the only reason I would think that
that's a great point.
A black man is different death by a white man. It has to be a different level of psychological damage that makes you think that a white man's hell is hotter than a black man's hell. I don't know.
I gotta agree. I have to agree.
But brother, going back to your book, yes, sir. Going back to your book, and being that I think you came into the industry back in 87, 88?
Yes, in terms of actual recording. I was an artist for, years, but I put out my first recording in 1988, yeah.
Now, if we're talking about backtrack a little bit, the idea of there is a time when artists sell their souls and the industry is corrupt, and, you have to sell your soul in order to really get into those circles. Science teaches us that anything that exists has a definite beginning in the physical universe, has a definite beginning and a definite end, correct? So there has to be some kind of beginning whereby it has to be some kind of beginning, brother, whereby this actually happened. So when would you pinpoint that the idea of selling souls to the music industry first came into play? Now, the earliest tale I can tell, and I don't think if they really put it in context, they used to say Robert Johnson, the blues player.
Yes.
But as far as the industry goes, when do you think it became an idea of, okay, I'm just in this to make money, have fun, to the point where, okay, I got to sell my soul in order to do this? what year would you say that happened, that transition was made?
I'd probably say, 89, 90. I kind of feel that from an energy standpoint, that we had control. First of all, it was an influx, and this is what I mean. So we can go back to Robert Johnson with the guitar and the devil, and there was probably instances along the way in which individually certain individuals from time to time had to make some kind of deals and this and that. And I want to be clear with our listeners. Sacrifice is sacrifice. If I want to be in the NBA, I'm going to have to sacrifice time because I got to get out there on the court, work on my jump shot, maybe not have a steady girlfriend because I'm making these sacrifices. So it's an energy or, that you're giving up for something greater. So the word sacrifice has gotten so much stigma because people are always associating it with the devil or this and that. I might sacrifice a piece of wood, to keep the family warm. So there are different levels of sacrifice. And when we're dealing with entities that let's say, reside right above the physical realm and the astral realm that feed off of human energy or human exertion of energy, now you're talking about sacrifice on a whole different level where you begin to feed a beast or feed an entity that may be able to manipulate things in the physical realm because their level of knowledge is just a little so-called higher than yours, or it appears. See, we're spiritual beings having that human experience, so while we're locked in this third-dimensional body, this suit, just like in Avatar, this suit we put on, it limits our ability to really tap into our full potential. So while we're here, we're learning about certain aspects of ourselves, but we're deeper and greater than this, and our ancestors have always told us and proved that to us through the years. Now, these devils have found a way to tap into an astral realm and feed beasts, which make things happen for them, in this particular third-dimensional paradigm. So an influx of artists in the 80s with hip-hop began to come in, and I would say the first couple of influxes of artists were truly about the music, truly about, now here's a platform where we can share with the world who we are as a collective, but the very principles of using the body, using sound, using images, that's all ancient art and ancient magic for us. So when you have a young generation of hip-hoppers, I'm setting this up for you. See, prior to this young generation, I can't remember a time when so many young warriors began to return to the planet in the physical form and use an art form the way we began to use hip-hop, and it's based in the magic. These white folks are occultists too, so they can see certain things going on, and they can see, even if we can't, looking at the grand picture of things, that this so-called lost tribe here in America are the ones who embody a different energy than maybe their ancestral bloodline across the water, because they can make anything out of anything. How can we take a piece of cardboard, somebody can use the beatbox, these guys are taking these turntables and creating these sounds, or get their hands on a drum machine that's electronic and make all kind of magic out of it. Only a special people can do that. They began to notice by 88, 89 that we were those people. So in my humble opinion, they began to set up those dragnet traps to get these brothers to never really reach their full potential, because they're taking these deals for the money and selling their soul, because they get them behind closed doors and show them a few magic tricks that was theirs in the beginning. But now, the keepers of the secret, so to speak, have that magic and turn it into where brothers been rolling off the conveyor belt selling their soul without even realizing it. So I would say 88, 89, when the music began to become so vulgar with NWA and the Ghetto Boys for a while, and so many groups, I understand they were telling one aspect of our story, but it became blatantly vulgar. a step down or two from what Public Enemy, X-Clan, KRS-One, Brand Nubian, Poor Righteous Teachers were beginning to lay the foundation for. And I think that's when the dragnet of those who just started waking up, cranking up, willing to sell their soul because they're not willing to deal with anything connected to hardship. And being connected to hardship is a part of our struggle for where we're going next.
Deep, brother. At this point, we're going to open up our lines to our callers. We're going to start taking some calls, if that's all right with you, brother.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
All right. First going to, and this is the Main Source Network. You will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Going to area code 404. Area code 404. Do you have a question or comment? You're on the air with the black dot. Area code 404. Okay. Area code 404 is just listening. Going to area code 443. Area code 443, do you have a question or comment? Area code 443, going once? Okay, everybody's listening tonight. All right, going to area code 954. Area code 954. You have a question or comment?
Yes, first of all, I like, this is 360 Wise, and definitely peace, my brother. Wow, what a man, Black Dot. I appreciate you coming on the show with the Truth Minister. This is a phenomenal sit down, and it's an honor to be at the table with you both to soak this in.
Thank you.
Man, you know you left me hanging when you right before Truth Minister started taking these calls. I'm all the way zoned out, and you dropped the paragraph off of where we go next. Where do we go next? What's next?
Well, brother, I'm writing about it now in a new book, my new book, Urban Culture Decoded, where I'm trying to paint a picture of everything that makes us great are the things that we're trying to shed to a certain degree. And what I mean by that is what brought about hip-hop was them depriving us the natural ability to use instruments and things that, brought us closer to, heaven, because the gateway through heaven is through the music. And our elders, it opened up so many vortexes for our healing, for our spiritual opening. So that's what gave birth to hip-hop, by not having the struggle, the economics, so many things that we now are shedding are the things that we need to always embrace. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you're not supposed to be out here getting your money and understanding the level of economics. I'm saying, to make a long story short, this cycle of what we call rap and hip-hop might have to come to an end to a certain degree because it's run its course. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about my true, pure hip-hop artists who love to make music for the love. Now, this is the key. This is the key. I asked young artists off the back, would you make this music if it was no money involved? And most of them have to study and sit there and think. If you got to study and sit there and think, then the answer is no. The love for hip-hop is not about monetary gain, but it's the love of the culture. We have created a whole culture of young ones who are their sole purpose for creativity is so that they can be on a World Star or make a few dollars. And when you bypass the rites of passage, love has to be the foundation. When you bypass love, it's like having a test tube baby. That's the terminology. Hip-hop or rap has become like a test tube baby because the mother and father didn't get together in love and make this particular new energy. They just bypassed that, and now they have the birth and want to know why the babies is running around unconnected to anything because they were not orchestrated and created in love. So where do we go from here? It's a real tough question, but I'm sitting back trying to get a forecast, and what I'm seeing is because there's no love for me and you as brothers, not me and you per se. You know what I mean? But in general, there's so much, we're so void of love that everything we create in the absence of love is going to be almost droid-like. And when we talk about droids, you see where the devil is going. All of his technology is based on droid-like, which means it can operate without the essence of love. And for us, the essence of love always has to be in place if we are to truly benefit off what it is we do.
Like that. Let me ask you, is it possible? Is it possible as we look at how those beings, as you say, put everyone on the conveyor belt, and we're going to show you a quick little magic trick. We're not going to tell you that. We're reminding you of what you already know, and we're going to allow you to just go ahead and sacrifice something, whether it's, in this case, it's not your time. It would be your self-worth. It would be things of that nature that will contribute to the dumbing down and the bigger plan of the machine holders. Is it possible, as we evaluate hip-hop as we see it today, and let me just throw some points in, with Warner Brothers buying out or buying a large percentage of YouTube, and contracts going out that, you either sign this on YouTube or you're not on there for their advertisement. And then you have the streaming situation that's became a failure. And these 360 deals that they've been giving out to the artists where only get 15% at the end of the day. And if they're not real brandable or step in the door with something, they're not going to get paid. But I throw those darts out there. I pin those to the board as I bring this analogy. Is it possible that we're looking right now and at the time that the beast made the move to destroy hip-hop from within, but the beast is being destroyed from within right now economically because there's nowhere else to go? They rode on the dropping of conscious or something that has meaning to the ratchetness and the dumbing down, and they can't go any further. And economically, they can't make any more money anywhere. They just gave Macklemore $100 million. You see, no triple platinum this year, no platinum this year. Is it possible that we're looking at, from everything that you just said, it doesn't have to be free, but it has to be a regrouping phase right now to bring back the essence of hip-hop? Are we possibly looking at that shift right now?
We are in that shift, brother, as far as I'm concerned, because when the industry came about, and see, one thing about white folk, when you start messing with their money, and I broke this down recently, we got to understand that this rap and hip-hop are two different things. Rap is anybody can do rap. You put a hot beat on, say something that doesn't make sense because it's for the masses. It's feeding off, and we know the masses are asses. So it's a bottom feeder type of thing, and those in the industry know that. Hip-hop, of course, is embodying the entire culture. And you don't have to put out no records, and just by the way I walk and talk, I am an embodiment of hip-hop. Two different things, and I think we kind of get confused. So with rap, it's sunken so low, but it is a corporation. Their job at the label is to try to make money. They could care less about your spiritual upliftment as a people and this and that, just like Pepsi could care less about the diabetes rate in our hood, because all they're doing is to make money. And I only say that to say because we have to distance ourselves from being emotionally involved with wanting to know why the record labels are not playing songs that we like, because at the end of the day, that is not their job. When that fourth quarter comes by, they looking at numbers. And I say that to say the industry itself is collapsing on itself, and now they recognize, damn, we can't even make no more money the way we used to, hand over foot, because the music is so many ways for people to steal it. You know, the internet has opened up Pandora's box where we don't even have platinum artists anymore, and the ones who do sign the 360 deal, you literally just signed your life away with that one. So but they're forecasters. So while we get caught in the moment, so to speak, they are laying the next paradigm, and the next paradigm is going to be that that stuff they call world music. And that world music is what Pitbull and these kind of guys are doing. Boom, it's got the 4/4 beat, boom, boom, boom. And you hear these songs when LeBron, they got a highlight tape on LeBron, they playing this, throw your hands. It's music where everybody, or so-called everybody, can relate to. That's where they're going with next. They leaving rap for those who want to hear that vulgar. Now, one thing I will say about that dance music, they're talking about love. They're talking about partying. They're talking about happiness. They're talking about relationship. It sort of reminds me of what hip-hop used to be when it popped on the scene. It was, really a fun music. Now, it taught us some things as well, but it was, in the root of it, it was peace, unity, love, and having fun. And that's what this new world music / dance music is about. That's where white people are sending their kids now. Katy Perry and Ariana Grande's, and they're dealing with all of that music, and they're making sure that the ratchet ones who can't raise their vibration above, savagery, always can have this so-called nasty hip-hop, take your panties, pull them to the side, all of this kind of stuff. That's that rap music. Hip-hop don't get played on the radio no more, maybe a little bit. So they have really boiled this down to dollars and cents. And if it's boiled down to dollars and cents, brother, they get ready to lose. So we are in the shift, whether we know it or not, but are we prepared to birth what needs to be next? Hip-hop has always been around. There's always been a drum. There's always been our ability to use art, our bodies to manifest. We just call this certain paradigm of it hip-hop. You know what I'm saying? Back then it was bebop, scat, this and that, but it was all based on those same principles. So we need to rebirth ourselves, but rebirth with the understanding that we have to be in total control from the beginning to the end of it, and I think it'll be fine. But until then, death is amongst us.
Independence. And until then, it's a rap. Continually. Got you. Man, I definitely thank you so much. This is an honor and pleasure again. Truth Minister Paul Scott, always, that's my Jedi right there, and Black Dot, man, peace, joy, and oneness, man. Thank you, guys.
Peace.
Peace.
Yes, and I'm going to leave your line open, brother.
Okay, thank you.
Leave line open. No problem, brother.
Thank you.
But I wanted to get Dot's opinion on something Yasin said about nobody went platinum last year. You talking about the white groups didn't even go platinum.
Exactly.
Nobody really, and if they didn't go platinum, you know what the black groups are after. So in a climate like this, when they have nowhere to go, I've noticed over the last year, and y'all seen when we had the militant mind movement going strong last year, you can bear witness to this. They are more accessible now than they ever been. I look at the move that Red Pill is doing in New York when he interviewed Charles Hamilton. You remember that about 3 or 4 years ago when an XXL unsigned artist takes time and really talk to somebody on our side of the fence, so to speak, on the concert side. You've seen other people. You've seen Little Boozy posing with Hasim Nzinga, the new Black Panther Party. You've seen Queen Latifah posing with one of the new Black Panthers. You've seen DMX posing with, I think, Sonnet and them up in New York. Even, some of the work we did last year with the militant mind movement, some of these interactions were direct. And even me, brother, I've noticed that if I get on Twitter like 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm having some real deep conversations with some of these artists. I don't know what it is. I think at 2 o'clock in the morning they might be bored in the club. Their managers are going to sleep. Their handlers aren't paying attention. So they're just either waiting on a plane, in the hotel room, getting ready to go to the club, come in for the club, and their defenses are down. So I'm getting into some real deep conversations on Twitter with some of these artists like 2 o'clock in the morning. But that being said, in this climate of rapid change, when they have nowhere to go to the black community, would this be the opportune time to try something or to institutionalize something like a hip-hop rites of passage. And I'm going to go to Dot and Yasin. You can also chime in on this after Dot drops his clip.
All right.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, Dot.
Yeah, well, I think it's a great opportunity, but what it also shows is that once those resources have dried up, first of all, let me say this. The work that we do as a collective, believe it or not, we are more popular than you could possibly imagine. You know what I'm saying? Because this information travels so fast and so far that a lot of this, what we talk about on a regular day basis, they know is right and correct, but they've been so out of the loop for so long, or they have taken oaths or this or that kind of stuff, but they know who you are. They know who I am. They know what it is that we do. Now, the resources, as we said, are drying up. So there ain't no more private jets and all that other kind of stuff. So a lot of these artists are distilling, I'll use that as a term, back to the planet, so to speak. So they was flying high, but now they're distilling back to the planet, and they're looking to distill at least in the hands and come around of those who they know what time it is and so forth and so on. So that's where we are with that. So you see a lot of these artists walking up and down the street or willing to get online and talk to you because a lot of them got caught into something they knew nothing about. They only was after the money, so they didn't see everything that went along with that particular process. But sure, this will be a great time if these artists are still valuable to the black community. You see what I'm saying? They have to be valuable in the sense that they still hold a platform in which they can reach people to help us blur the lines between so-called consciousness and the industry. You know what I mean? So if you have some value, if you ain't got no value and now you want to come hang out with us, you know, so that we can hold you up on some kind of pedestal, that ain't going to happen. You know what I mean? I meet artists all the time, and I'm about my business. You know what I'm saying? I may enjoy your music, but how do we make that manifest where we can benefit as a collective from that? You know what I mean? If you come into the community and you ain't got no checks with you in your back pocket because you done lived that life and all your resources are drawn up, and now you leaning on us to find out what's next. And then you got to remember this too. The devil is always trying to get at the front of the line. So here we are putting in work, the militant mind think tank, everybody putting in their work, and now we've sowed our seeds deep, organically into the universe, and now we're about to sprout, so to speak. So they try to get in at the front of the conveyor belt so that the next paradigm shift that's being birthed, that they can also benefit from that. So we as a collective have to be careful of certain artists that just show up. You know, oh, yeah, I love what y'all doing. I just want to show up. Like the rap battle stuff going on, and I told these some so-called battlers, they better be careful because now they on BET and all of that, and they think that's a victory. That is not a victory. That's a victory for corporations who are sitting back evaluating to see if this is something that can re-energize the industry, so to speak, so that they can turn over and make some more money. This is why Drake is getting ready to battle Murder Mook soon. Who knows what that's truly about? Eminem had his reality show which featured these battle rappers. Now, I know the battle rappers are getting cut a few checks, and you know, they feel like they've made it. Oh, we getting cut a few checks, and now we on TV. The guinea pigs always get the good checks in this type of situation because they don't have the foresight to see the big picture, that they go from wanting to fight the establishment to becoming the goddamn establishment. How many times have we seen that? You know what I'm saying? Well, your whole thing is anti-establishment. We built this on our own from the ground up. We make our own rules. So being on BET, and Pepsi now sponsors this battle, and Pepsi decides, well, you can't say that, and we won't be having that anymore. And you've already signed a 360 deal or something, and in your mind it's victory, but for those who can see, we know you just failed.
Great point, brother. Brother Yasin, and we got 5 more minutes left in the show. So, Brother Yasin, I want to get your points and also your closing comments and contact.
Well, I mean, shoot, Black Dot, I mean, you know, basically, I don't even know how to. You just, hey, if I was one of those industry dudes, I just got knocked out. Somebody give me some smelling sauce. You know what I'm saying? That was a heck of a. You hit all four corners of the ring right there, Black Dot. I definitely think at this particular point, what we did on the Militant Minded Radio was that was vicious, and what we're looking at, what's going on right now, is off some deeper cry, somebody help me, and when we're looking at the industry and the commercialism of it, and these jokers are like, they didn't step into the game properly with business ethics, so now when they were talking about how much riches they have and making jokes of those that didn't have anything, are like one application away from McDonald's. So if that's the case, you know, in regards to having to watch very closely with the build-up of the seed that we've dropped organically, somebody popping up trying to get their, you know, get their not a brand, but I would say get themselves revitalized. I think that it's. I think collectively we need to push forward. The time is now. I mean, bottom line. The time is definitely now. Whether they see the power in the blackness, they see the power. It's time. They're coming back home. We've been right here. We're in the perfect position. This is the perfect sit around the table conversation. The masses are listening. You're right. Every noun and verb vibrates across the globe, and I'm very appreciative to be in this particular circle. And closing, Black Dot, I have a heck of a platform with a large reach. I have no problem with pushing your book out there as well, because I know that many people don't even know it exists. That'll be a pleasure. And Truth Minister, you know what it is. If we need to fire back up, we can fire back up. I'm always right here, and I'm a student, and I like to keep it like that. And I appreciate being on this platform with you both, and I'm going to just sit back. Thank you.
Drop your website, yes, sir.
Oh, it's the website is www.360wisenetwork.com. That's 360wisenetwork.com. Yes,
okay,
and yes. All right, my brother. And again, thank you, Black Dot, Truth Minister. My
pleasure.
Okay.
Brother Black Dot, this has been a very powerful show. I really am honored by your presence, brother. And what's next in the future for Black Dot? I know you just released a new video probably, a month ago?
Yeah, well, I'm right now I'm off the grid, so to speak, you know, until I finish up this book. This book should have been done 3 or 4 years ago. I'm going to be honest, but what I tried to do, I tried to water my work down to appease certain crowds of my ancestors began to whip my butt immediately and say, no, you are an acquired taste, and you've been put here to speak it the way it needs to be spoke. So I almost had to rewrite the whole book, but it's called Urban Culture Decoded, a critical analysis into the, you know, the physical, mental, and spiritual, you know, breakdown of a lost people, so to speak. And it's going to go through step by step of who we are as a collective through the eyes of Black Dot, and hope that people can grasp it and it could be something that we can use. I don't have no website right now because I'm turning the lights back on with a new vigor, a new energy. The first book I put out, Hip Hop Decoded, was just a collection of thoughts that I felt that needed to be out. So I'm restructuring some things, but you guys will be the first guys to know when it's all ready and the lights is on.
No
all
doubt,
right,
brother. And
no
if somebody
doubt.
wants to get in contact with the Black Dot, the best way to do that would be?
You got to hit me on Facebook. Go through the Truth Ministers page and look for Dwayne Black Dot Bowser and connect with me there. That's the only outlet that I have right now that's on the grid.
All right. Brothers, I want to thank you both for being on the program. I want to invite everybody to join us every Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, for the Main Source Network, where you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. And as always, we leave you in closing with the benediction of the Messianic Afrikan Nation. Although we have been victimized, yet we are not victims. We are a strong African people, and the fullness of time, in the Creator's will, we shall rise again. As I leave you, my brothers and sisters, in the words of peace. Shalom alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Peace.
Wa alaikum salam.
Peace. Peace.